It is now December 1st, and wow, November went by really fast. And I saw six November releases last month, so I'm going to rank them from worst to best. And coming in last place is Genie. Now, let me just make this clear. I thought that this was a good movie. I actually enjoyed this movie, but it's just that the other movies were better. So I actually do enjoy this movie, and I think that you actually should give it a shot. It's actually a pretty charming movie, but that just speaks volumes on how good some of the other movies that have come out this month are. But I think that this is a really good movie with just allowing for it to just be a fun kind of feel good Christmas movie where Melissa McCarthy plays a genie, and she is a very charming actress. I think she's grown on me a lot in the past couple of years. And there's a lot to like about this movie. I mean, the main characters are fun, with the basic synopsis of this movie just being a man uses a genie to kind of try to reconnect with his wife. And one thing I really appreciate about this movie is they kind of just like cut right to the chase. It's like the three wishes thing that's just made up. So it's kind of good. Yeah, this is a pretty cute movie. It's got some really great Christmas vibes, but I just think that some of the other movies are better, but this is still a pretty good movie. And coming in at number five, we have The Killer. And I feel like some people will kind of start to freak out. I mean, this is Michael Fassbender. I mean, this is David Fincher. There's a lot going for it. And I think that this is a solid film. But just something about it, like our main character of The Killer just has no personality. And I understand that. I understand that, I mean, a cold hearted killer doesn't really have that much of a personality. But, and I think that this was a good movie. I enjoyed it. But there's just nothing really that, in my opinion, stood out about it. There's nothing amazing about this movie, in my opinion. I think, okay, actually, no, scratch that. This movie has very gorgeous cinematography, especially towards the beginning, like when we're seeing him try to do like the first assassination. Just everything just feels so perfectly perfect, where everything's laid out exactly like this. Him laying out his mat, him doing almost stretches to kind of get ready for this assassination before it goes wrong and what takes off the entire plot of the movie. And but other than that, I feel like, and there's also one really good brutal like hand-to-hand fight scene with this when he's with this fighting this guy in this dark room, but it's so dark you can't really see it, but it's still a cool scene. So yeah, I think this movie is still good. There's still a lot to like about this movie, but I think it's just lacking some real characters. And like I said, I understand this is a cold-hearted killer. He's not really supposed to have that much personality, but it just didn't really feel. But because of that, and I mean, of course, that was his intention. It didn't feel like there was much to grasp onto. And this was a character I wasn't really even invested in, and I was more just watching it just to watch it. And I was finishing it just because I had to finish the movie. It wasn't one of those movies where I just really cared about our main character because there's just nothing to him, which is intentional. I keep saying that, but like, hey, not my fault if I don't care about a character. And coming in at number four, we have Wish. And I think that this is actually a pretty good movie. I think it's very underrated because I see that this movie has been getting a lot of hate, and I just don't understand why. There's a lot of stuff going for this movie, I think, in my opinion. I don't think it's an amazing movie or anything. I think it is still a solid, good movie. I mean, of course, the animation is fantastic. And, well, they are going for like more of a different, it almost looks hand drawn, which is intentional because this is like its celebration of the 100th year anniversary of Disney. And because of that, it feels very familiar. You have a lot of references, like her. I mean, she's got like seven main friends that are clearly a nod to the seven dwarves, and even in terms of their designs, they look like that. And our main character of Asha, in my opinion, is a very charming character. I think she's a lot of fun to watch. And Chris Pine is a very fun villain. He's got a great song. I don't care what anyone says. I think that the music in this movie is fantastic. I really liked Chris Pine's This Is the Thanks I Get song. I mean, Asha's I Want song was really good. And this is a movie, though, where some people may be disappointed because, after all, it is the celebration of 100 years of Disney. This is their 100th year anniversary. And some people are like, oh, this is what you give us? Because I think maybe some of the general consensus is this is not a bad movie, but it's not like great. I think that it is a good, solid film, and I think that there's still a lot to like here with charming characters and just a really fun villain. But I definitely can understand where the idea of, hey, this is the 100th year anniversary of one of arguably the most famous animation studio in history, and this is what you give us. It's like, oh, it's pretty good, but I wanted something great. And it's still built on the whole thing of like, with one of the characters, Star, is clearly based on Wish Upon a Star. And so it almost feels like this movie is like just a combination of just all these other Disney movies, but it's never as good as the Disney movies that it is paying tribute to. But so yeah, I think that this is a good movie, but I don't think that it is a great movie. And coming in third place, we have Thanksgiving. I thought this movie was a blast, and this movie is kind of a classic slasher movie, but with it being kind of flipped on its head, because there are many, of course, like horror movies for certain holidays. Like, of course, got tons of Christmas movies, obviously a ton of Halloween movies. And this is a movie where the idea of Thanksgiving is very integral, I mean, obviously, to this movie, but on more layers of it just being a killer pilgrim, but along with the main killer, like, the way he kills people is almost in a nod to just the preparation of a Thanksgiving dinner. And it's so disturbing, so graphic in a way where it's kind of sickening, but in a way that's just very fun to watch. And because this is like very heavily like taking inspiration of the things you do around Thanksgiving, whether it's cooking, it makes these kills always more kind of gruesome and more sickening, where like one of the kills is like cooking somebody like you would a turkey, and it's just like one of those things like you just feel sick, where you're seeing this guy just a pilgrim, and it's just you're watching something that's in a way an idea of nod to history, and it's almost showing some of the true brutality of history, I'd say, because they kind of talk about one of the jokes they kind of throw it out there is how also how the Native Americans were terribly treated by the European settlers, and it's almost feels like in many ways like the kids in this movie are intentionally kind of like scummy, they're like stuck up, and it feels like they're almost like privileged, so it kind of all ties together in a perfect way. And I think this was just a very fun, very solid film. And coming in second place, we have Leo. I was very, very pleasantly surprised by this film, where I when I started this, I thought it was just gonna be some generic Netflix garbage for the millionth time. I mean, Adam Sandler, I mean, I loved Adam Sandler as a kid, and then like some of his just recent work has just not been that good. But I think that this is genuinely a really good movie, as you're watching this character who, although it's portrayed in a silly way, he's going through a midlife crisis, because I mean, he's a lizard, he's like 70 years old or 80 years old, and he's so worried that he's gonna die soon, and he wants to escape to the Everglades in his last year or two of life, and you're seeing him connect with these kids in this classroom, because he gets brought home to these kids for the class pet, and he's helping them, almost becoming their therapist. And it's just a very cute movie to watch, as you're just helping this character who is very charming just help these other charming kids, and it's just a very fun movie. Yes, the animation isn't great, especially with the humans, but there are some genuinely pretty creative animation choices. And I thought that this has not only a very heartfelt message, but also very fun characters with, of course, Leo himself, but also the kids that he talks to and basically be their therapy pet. It's just very fun. And coming in number one, we have Dream Scenario. I mean, I love Nicolas Cage, and this movie is just Nicolas Cage in your face, where he just keeps appearing in your dreams. And it starts off very like lighthearted, and it slowly gets progressively turns into a nightmare. And overall, I thought this was a fantastic film. I'm not going to go too much details in this movie, but overall, I think that this is the best film of the month, and I would highly check it out if you haven't already. So yeah, that's my ranking of the November 2023 releases. So let me know what you think in the comments. And subscribe for more videos and leave a like.